Though I pray for Donald Trump, I give thanks to you, Father, that you have seen fit to put a lid on the Biden campaign, and now through this scenario with President Trump, you've also put a lid on that campaign too. It gives us an opportunity as we the people, as a shepherd, to can step forward and speak with the other shepherds, speak to the people and speak to the flocks. I was downtown today and I seen motorcycle riders riding up Market Street with flying the colors for Joe Biden. Just like when I was over at Town Hall when Trump came to the Constitution Center. And there was the Friends of Jesus waving their flags with their Donald Trump banners. We're not talking parties here. We're not talking that type of superficiality. It's like 3 times a year going to church. You have to understand, America is not a thought, nor was it ever given by Ben Franklin, nor was it even given by Thomas Jefferson, nor was it even given by William Penn. It was inspired and was driven to a point of fullness where it expressed itself. It was able to be articulated as those seeking him and working together to raise the kingdom only could articulate it. The storytellers, the Daniels, they can take a look at fabric of time and space and put the word in motion. I guess we're few and far between, but it's even greater than your historians. This is the voice of the wise Lord, the perspective of his word, the understanding of his reason, the gift of his wisdom, the ability to hold all things in your hand, to understand, to know, to comprehend cohesively, to be able to articulate perpetual expansion. Einstein gave you the theory. And he also let you know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Your enigma is no different than Pentecost. It's rooting in a conversation or rooting into a language that can then be projected outwards to all who are part of that cult or clique. The fullness of time. It now can be articulated. This is not day 3. Day 3 has already been. We're up to day 4. This is the restoration. This is the return. Day 1 was Adam, El Ha'adam. The Father was born, Emmanuel, God with us. And he laid out the scenario. And yes, they fell from grace. And then they were forgiven. And the birth of Seth continued forward. The second day was Christ's arrival, the Immaculate Conception. At the end of the calendar, they turned around and they decided in life to be born and to die, and then the judgment. They decided the Immaculate Conception was the word itself. And they started to do that. And next thing you know, Buddha the leaf became a man. But also, Christ brought day 3. The kingdom has come. As when he was resurrected, death was no more. So day 2 and day 3, he released the captives. He freed the prisoners. And he gave all the ability to follow after him. I can see it in pattern. I can see it in placement. I can see it in your segregationists and your Scientologists and what you've been doing. This is why it's come to this point. Now wisdom is adapting or adopting artificial intelligence and raising the widow and raising the orphan. The holdouts, these are the people, be sure your sins will find you out. They've done this, they believe this, they practice this against people, against neighbors. In plain sight, using the SPCA as a miniature, setting up lives as if they're movie sets. You can see it now, even now. We can ride down Kensington Avenue and we see all the people on the side of the road. 10 and 15-year-old, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70-year-olds in physical form, but in their understanding, as they were taught, they're about 10 to 15. That's about all they know. They know here is a fish and go sit down. They know here is a video game and go sit down. They're the ones, I don't know if this social communism is the ideal of God, because you're not going to have any money. And history's already been through this time and time again. This just ushers in the handing over, the surrender, the collapse. Without God, there is no people. Without God, man walks in extinction, a criminal to himself. We put the word back in school, we can pull it out. We reincorporate Kensington as a conservation easement under Penn's Charter of Privilege, framing out the Protestant Christian foundation of our society, that which birthed the preamble, that which grew us to the point where we knew that we were no longer needed an earthly king. We hadn't needed him to begin with. That's how we ended up here. Yes, episode 9. How many of you people out there with the free, with the free, with the free? Take a look down the road. None of these people are working. The people that get their taxes from these people to pay for their programs. The government does not create anything. It doesn't create opportunity either. It does as people's will. It enforces the law. It upholds the Constitution. The people's will, the partnership plan, where the people devise it for their communities. That's the same thing as a presbyter. Knowing the people. That's the word itself. Going to the man. That's the tribe itself forming and getting larger and larger. That's a not-for-profit being absorbed back into the church. That's a union being absorbed back into a not-for-profit. It's understanding being pulled together, the gathering, and the falling away. That which will be pruned. It's pruned by itself. But I stand with Donald Trump. Yes, but I am a publican. I couldn't care less for Trump or Biden. It's the office of the president, as President Trump had said. It's enforcing the law. It's upholding the office. It's upholding the Constitution. It's living the office, not letting the office live you. It's not letting that authority, it's not letting that seduction of the power and the glory go to your head. You absorb all with your heart, and you read over the archives, and you read over the history, and you know the people, and you know the husband, and you know the father, and you know the mother, and you know the child. Yes, we're already in the third day, been here for a long, long time. It's just a teaching that slacks. So now what we're reforming is the church and the federal, church and state government, and the education. That's what they put in place. The axis of evil, or it's a stairway to heaven. Depends on how you read it. But if you trust and obey, and read it as it is written, and receive it as it is given, I want to go forward. I want to take the next step. I want to make it manifest. All else is true. All physics lines it up. All words from our people, from us as a body, from us as a unit, to the least likely suspects. Still in harmony as one. Still complementary. Still a blessing, still coming alongside to forge one body. We're ready for our head. We're ready for the return of Christ. We're ready for the entire world to go self-governant. and for all the people to be led by God, as they are anyhow, the God of their understanding. But it's time to teach them, as constitutionally guaranteed. They have a right to know, an ability to know, and a God-given sound mind to comprehend. We can't keep on using people and letting ourselves be exploited as sound bites and photo ops, when all we are is a cast out long ago system that they don't want to abide in. Not even understanding when they're done with us, they're done with them. Do unto others only that which you would also have done unto you. Easter Island, the cancel culture, it bites you in the ass. All right, God, you win. Episode 9. Please, I take this moment to pray for our President, Donald J. Trump. Heal him, Father, and bring him through. Let him know we're just approaching another transfiguration, and the respiratory part is kind of part of that. Kind of like on that Stargate show, the SG-1, where they all seen Daniel, what they thought died, and whenever they'd ponder on it, they'd actually get violently sick and what have you. I believe the respiratory you're suffering from, Trump, is kind of like what I went through as I was coming along the path. Like King Saul, Donald Trump, this is you. You've been anointed by God to be king, and you've done well. But you still have your human tendencies, and they got under your skin. And you went more with the people who were around you. And you should have understood that those who engulfed around David were not always his friend. And his loyal advisors most often really just wanted David's end. Like King Saul with General Abner and your loyal defense minister surrounding you to advise you. They also saw David and knew of David and knew of the talk amongst the ranks. So sometimes they're not advising you in your best interest. And King Saul was so threatened by David that he couldn't even follow through. He wanted to best him. And there was no besting David because David was God's psalmist. He wasn't just singing to King Saul. Like David to King Saul, and even greater, like Jonathan to David. The Midway Theater is my dream. The community project manager of Kensington is my kingdom. As the son of King Saul saw the glory and the splendor and advised David in kind, and Jonathan surrendered his whole inheritance to make David the king, and then died with his father in the field of battle. That is also a king. And like Lydia to the temple, our academia has been mixed and moshed in segregation. Lydia not being at fault. She was just the fruits as grown by the temple, as has been shown in the treasure in the treasury, right here in Philadelphia. It's all being come clean. It's time to move forward.